Hello, everyone, and welcome. In this recording, I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming full moon in the sign of Aries taking place on the 17th of October 2024. I must say that this is going to be a rather unprofessional horoscope because rather than presenting the energies from a neutral perspective as I should, all I can do is offer you and share the guidance that I have received and that which I think would be relevant for everyone collectively. Because we are living such times where I can only speak for myself. However, I don't think I exaggerate if I say that no one truly, really, no matter of their esoteric, astrological, quantum physics, historic, or any kind of knowledge they possess, it doesn't really matter because no one really knows. So, with this being said, I find it much more truthful and authentic if I just share the guidance I received because no one knows. And that includes, of course, me and you, the listeners, as well. And the other thing, it is the way it should be. So that is part of the game of life, part of the picture, and not necessarily a negative part, because we must remember this. And this is actually one of the big lessons of the upcoming 20 years. Of course, you guessed it, Pluto and Aquarius. Life, amongst so many other things, is designed by the original designer of it to be an adventure, right? That means risks. That means sometimes in life there is no right, there is only wrong. Other times in life there is only right, there is no wrong. Life is not linear and life does not make rational sense all the time. Life also needs to be mysterious. However, I do believe that the mysterious part we are heavily getting, so much so that we are deluged by it, and that's Neptune, but not in a good way. This isn't the type of mystery that life actually should be about. However, we're living the times when this is what it got to, because what is Pisces, what is Neptune, is the collective unconscious. So we are the authors of the weirdnesses, but at the same time, the adventure of life. Without it, we're not human beings anymore. We are something else. Without the adventure of life, how should I say? And don't take this offensively or don't misinterpret it. I identify as is valid, is real, but we we can't go there because that means nature doesn't exist anymore, if you know what I mean. Rules are not non-existent anymore in our collective psyches, at least, but you know what that means. As within, so without. So adventure of life is very important. An adventure of life can simply not exist within total security, total comfort, no danger, no challenge, no nothing, right? However, Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius, it is very obvious that humanity's primary tool of solving any problem in the present moment, because humanity has a toolbox, right? but usually you work with only a few tools simultaneously, right? Two hands. Astrology has its dual signs, and that is for a big reason. Two hands, 2 feet, two. One of the tools that it is using, and it is gonna use, and will use, should use, especially in the next 20 years, uh, not that it hasn't done so from, let's say, always, but in a more modern way from the discovery of Uranus onwards, so 1700s onwards. But in the next 20 years, that tool is now a power tool. That tool is like something out from sci-fi books, right? But there's another free hand. Now we can put that in the pocket, our pocket, rest it, because the power tool, right, fixes everything. But we should not really rest it because two hands need to be balanced out. And the other hand must hold the heart. Because the primary tool is intelligence. However, intelligence is neutral without the heart. But that which is neutral can very well weigh in the not so loving direction, because amongst other things, the adventure of life represents survival as well. And survival can be aggressive at times. So it weighs on the non-loving direction very, very much. Why? Because we love life, right? Survival. So that means that if that power tool, we want to create something beautiful with it, or give the solution to whatever we're solving a beautiful, elevated, reflective solution of the human being and humanity and human spirit, then we must counterbalance it with the heart, because the heart sings, right? And then the hand is moved harmoniously, beautifully, happily. So problem solving causes celebration, elevation, the good lessons, right? So long story short, if love isn't there, everything is futile and useless. Now, this long introduction is necessary for us to understand what exactly is going on. But perhaps the core picture that should interest us as human beings, not as highly intelligent individuals, not as truth seekers, not as philosophers, not as, I don't know, Sufi mystics, not as, just as plain, simple human beings. Aquarius, right? The collective made out from that very simple, basic individual. But what does Aquarius, along with its modern ruler Uranus, demand? Humanity. Everyone must have humanity, right? So we need the love of life, the love of one another, the power of Leo, the heart, to counterbalance it, to give it a deep meaning, to give it the juice, to give it existence, to give it the passion, right? Compassion is a form of passion. Hatred is a form of passion, but we know that what hatred does to the collective. So, long story short, what is the meaning of all of this? I didn't really understand myself. So, what does a channeler do? Ask the realm of Pluto. Because Pluto is working hard right now. And the answer that I received was very, very brute, simple, and you can't split it further. It is what it is. You can't deny it. And here how does it go? We see a lot of destruction. We know that destruction in any way, shape, and form is imminent. We know by now, and we know, like, come on, it's reality that the old order is collapsing. And let's not really look at the world stage in this case, because that is so obvious. But let us look in our lives, because let's hope that our lives are not like the world stage, because we chose differently, right? We have sacred and a lot of things we love in our lives. However, the old expression of that, regardless of what that means, is collapsing. It doesn't matter if it's harmonious, if it works, if it's healthy, if it's good, if it doesn't need to collapse rationally. When the old is collapsing, it doesn't matter if it's faulty or not. But the solution is different for everyone. Some people have to allow it to collapse and then pick it up from the Tower and Star. You know, tarot card, the Tower and the Star, the Chaos theory, right? Other people just need to upgrade it, renovate it, and it doesn't need to necessarily have to fall. But you know, when restoring a valuable ancient building that must not fall ultimately, but it needs to be upgraded, it's not an easy task in any way, shape, and form, because you need to preserve it. It doesn't matter which case, it's not easy in our lives. However, one thing is common. One thing is the same, both in our lives, both collectively, in any way, shape, and form, inner, outer, that one thing is the same. And that is that, going back to my channeling, why is it happening? The collapse of the tower. The chaos disrupts. It doesn't forgive. It doesn't look at the reasoning. You know what I mean? Going back to my earlier example, maybe what is collapsing shouldn't, because it's healthy. Again, it still needs the upgrade because chaos does not forgive. But why does chaos not? What does chaos want? What does destruction want? Because everything has a spirit, right? And chaos and destruction are not equal evil whatsoever in any shape and form. That does not mean evil. So we must immediately wipe out and erase the polarization of evil. So what does it want? Well, it's pretty much simple. It wants unity. It wants Pisces, right? Spirit of communion. But spirit of Pisces is the Omega sign, right? So if the spirit of communion is Omega, if it somehow enters into the zodiac cycle, Aries, it will want to make it real as possible. Where does it get real? In Aquarius. That's the stage when whatever you want, past Capricorn, past the seeding, and it became real, and you're observing it, you're living it. Aquarius, right? You're living it. It is part of your life, your future. You did it. So you're living it, hopes and dreams. What you're living, on one hand, how you feel about it. Because spirit of communion, right? But perfection does not exist in matter. If it entered matter, it will never get perfected. However, it doesn't have to, because the cosmos and the universe itself has alpha omega cycle. It will always rebirth itself, right? So the moment of rebirth needs a moment of death. That is the only single moment when chaos fully gets its expression, when everything returns to one. But why does it seek one? Perfect love. If you want love to be perfectly real, That's it. That is it. Perfectionism achieved. The lambda state, or how you call it. That's it. So it wants love, but in a different way than we understand it as living beings, because we represent the opposite side of the spectrum, like it or not, want it or we are here. We are placed here. But you see that in its essence, love is love on either side. Just that chaos's modus operandi is to perfectly unite everything. Discrimination cannot exist in that state. No one is separate and nothing is separate from one another. So we understand this. So chaos is working. But what does that conclude to? The less love there is in the world, in our hearts, in our lives, chaos is more and more hungry and will come to demand, knock on the, get its empty plate and a spoon and make the noise, knock, and chaos will ring, chaos will protest. Give me love. Why does love saturate chaos in an imperfect way? In the context of my channeling, right? The way it was explained to me. Why does food saturate us? It will come back for more, but it gives us what we need. If it seeks love, then if you give it love, it will be okay with it for a while, but that's how everything is in nature, right? We understand it. So the quality of food that you give it will determine its reaction, if it goes away or not. Because if you poison it, then it will, not just that it won't be hungry anymore, it will, how should I say, strike a bit back at you like a super angry, enraged chihuahua. Because, dude, don't give me poison. When are we giving it poison? When we're pretending and lying to ourselves. You know what I mean? But a good 50% of this is not optional, because we were educated. If we lived in human society in any way, shape, and form, prolonged years, at least 18 years, a nodal cycle, then we are lying in many ways to ourselves, and that's okay. We were conditioned into it. There's nothing that we can do. So chaos naturally does, how should I say, not necessarily trust the food we give it. It tastes it first, examines it, and then comes back for more, because it cannot trust us. We are not honest with ourselves. How can we be honest to the primary forces of the universe and existence itself? So when love lacks, when love is not there, when love is not what it should be, chaos gets angry and the Tiamat awakens and it shows its ugly head. The octopus will start devouring our psyches. If you look at the world stage and what the collective unconscious is doing, just that. Nothing is sacred anymore. Not even compassion. Compassion it lost its sacredness. And intelligence and technology, artificial intelligence, and all of Pluto in Aquarius. Remember, this November is when it gets truly serious, what Pluto means in Aquarius. Until now, it was just a preview, a demo. Now it will get serious. So the power of technology. If the power of technology is lacking very much big purpose of love and compassion, but in the real sense, I will not say anything further. So, the reason why so much chaos is within our souls, in our lives, externally, and everything is because the quality of love, the frequency of love, that we dish out because of technology and all of that. I don't need to say what's on the no list. It doesn't do anything. It's not strong enough. If we want it to be strong enough, well, then, first of all, love is the greatest power for us human beings. It has to be that way. That's not optional, right? On the other hand, love is free. You cannot control it. You cannot sell it. You can't sell compassion. You can't trade love. You can't. So we must stop that. How do we stop that? By not supporting anything that sells love in any way, shape, and form. In any, from the lowest to the highest. So after is when, in order to counterbalance the great strength of the hyper mind, we must, and this is where this is invisible, nothing and no one helps us in this. It is just the requirement. We must really ignite the heart to a quantum fire, to a sacred fire. This is where we really need to get serious of what love means. We need to give it unearthly strength. But every grandmaster, so I don't need to say names, you get what I mean, ascendant, whatever, ascended, grandmaster, or incarnate, whatever, has taught us a lot of examples of how to pull this through, how to do it. It's possible. It's not a legend. It's not a myth. It's sometimes easy. So, yes, we need to put it into practice. And how do we put it into practice? By feeling it, by burning with love. And that means sometimes making choices that are very pure, very tumultuously love-based, even if it's bad for the economy, for the tactical situation, for the modern day ego. That's how we start to balance it out. And the other effect is youth. Leo rules youth. When Pluto is in the opposite sign, they will suffer immensely. And what is happening in the world right now, physically, Pluto is our own insanity as a species. Uh, it is literally killing the youth, and not just with bombs, but also with the internet's influence. So, long story short, this leads to the new Aries new moon. Why? Well, whatever takes place, first I said the solution, the miracle cure, the what can help the situation. Faith, hope, and love. These three elements together truly can help. So, as you can see on my screen, this full moon is going to be extraordinarily intense because it holds a cardinal grand cross. That is one of the most intense and change-oriented energies in astrology. And because it's cardinal, it's also collective and individual alike. It is guaranteed to be collective. And since it's collective, the moon is very much collective emotion on fire, and a big moment of rebellion, because the moon is exactly on planetoid Aries. So, collectively speaking, right off the bat, whatever happens, whatever we react emotionally to, was already introduced in the 2020, 2021, 2022. Actually, let's leave it at that, because Aries held a square with a long-term square with Pluto. So, for example, certain events. What happened when after Joe Biden was the triumphant of the elections, with the White House, Trump, and all of that, the siege, or how they called that. But besides that, everywhere in the world there were massive, unprecedented protests. So that is already so crystal clear and obvious. But what was going on in our lives? What was the power struggle? What were we set up to have enough of? What kept happening all these years in our lives that right now, especially under the Aries full moon, we say, enough is enough. I'm not playing along anymore. Stop. This may be any area of your life. This can be something inside of you. It doesn't even have to be separate. For example, the inner victim, stop. The inner martyr, stop. The inner aggressor, stop. The inner ignorant, stop. The inner wise person, stop. And it can be something profoundly useful, positive, your pride and joy of your being, and stop. You know, for some reason, we need to stop and balance the scales. What illuminates a full moon? The sun in Libra. But the sun, and this is where let's get into the play of this energy. The sun does not illuminate this full moon quite alone, because the sun is conjunct to the degree, Juno. Partnerships, in the sign of partnerships, partnership karma, partnerships on fire, because sun combusts it. And this is in via combusta. From 15 degrees of Libra to 15 degrees of Scorpio, path of fire. Whatever takes place there is intense, heated, and changes relationship dynamics and stuff like that, and contracts. Let me give you a non-personal example. Something that you are subscribed to is getting so expensive that you say enough is on fire. When it gets into Scorpio, you terminate it. You unsubscribe. Bye. There it is. So that's the energy of it. You get what I mean? So it's really about partnerships. Libra says it. Juno says it. It is also perfectly conjunct a fictional energy called Zeus, Juno's husband, right? Oh, Hera, Juno, Hera, Zeus, Jupiter, but husband and wife, that's what matters really. So they're serious together. Speaking about Jupiter, who trines the sun, sextiles the moon. So this is very much about justice. This is very much about confrontational energy. But what is the Jupiter Juno in your life? Because Jupiter Juno in this case is someone that gives you power to do the impossible, say the impossible, confront. The time has come. Here it is. This is my honest feeling. This is my honest thought. So a big confrontational moment. The beans are spilled. The volcano erupts. The tears come out. Rage, right? Rage. But it can be tear rage, Mars in Cancer. Mars is very part of this energy, but let's just first understand the sun and moon itself. Moon conjunct Chiron. You know what I mean? It's the wound is so there. It's of course it's wound based, but Juno, Jupiter, Zeus, the trine, something gives you power, something helps you, something is there to empower this. So anything that goes on intensely in Aries, and when the ruler of Aries is also really in it, personally, dead seriously involved, then it doesn't matter what context, we know that emotions are going to be heavy, self-control is going to be hard, if not impossible. We know that the battering ram is on its way, and it is what it is. Even if this is the best moment in your life, let me give you a really stupid and ridiculous example. Let's say you really don't expect it, and your boyfriend asks you in a totally, genuinely, you never saw it coming situation, and your boyfriend asks you, and you get such a shock that you pee yourself a little bit. I'm so sorry to use this ridiculous, but the Mars in Cancer water expression. It doesn't matter if it's the happiest day of your life. In that moment, trust me, it doesn't matter. Because the damage was done, and the damage is going to be permanently, akashically part of this memory. And at the moment of the full moon, there's a yod formation pointing to the sun. Yod can also mean divine humor. Okay, it rarely does. Okay, give me a break. Sometimes it does, and let it just accept it. Let's not be all that very dead serious all the time. So it's imprinted in the happiest day of your life. Nothing, it's not bad. You know what I mean? But it's intense. Okay, on the world stage, what can I say? Yod. Not so easy, diplomatic move and a reaction to it. Aries need, urgent need, desperate need. Aries reactivity. So it's not just the diplomatic move itself, but the reaction to it. There is such a thing as diplomatic insult. There is such a thing as, world diplomacy is not any different than a relationship, than a one-on-one relationship. And it doesn't matter. This is where, put it into context in your life and situation. It doesn't matter if it's boy or boy girl, but sometimes the other person, even if it's the biggest love of your life, can be infinitely, impossibly difficult. Humors, water energy, right? Mars in Cancer. Sometimes it's beyond our control. We are living beings. We must not forget that. So sometimes hormones and water and moods and moon and karma and world change and the earth awakening, the earth core upgrading. Okay, if we want it real, there it is. That has effect on everyone. What more can I say? It is gonna be what it's gonna be. It's gonna be intense. So let's accept this. And even on the world stage, and when it's intense on the world stage, and when there is due to misinterpretation and you know what's gonna happen. Let's just not speak about that anymore. But then, because what goes on, let's remember, is a cry out that we need more love in our lives, and we need to embody love more than we are in the present moment. Okay, many of us say, dude, I'm over beyond my capacity. I'm not the problem. I am all about love and I make all my life about this. And so how can I dish more? Well, adjust the balance, because you being love means you generate it out from yourself. So sometimes you sit down, turn off the tap, and start receiving. Because, as I said, chaos doesn't care about principles, and chaos cares about if it's not there, it's not there. And if you're giving love obsessively, like a waterfall, like a whatever, that means there's an imbalance within you. And you might not feel it that way. And it might be the sacred imbalance, but there is an imbalance still, and chaos won't care if it's sacred or not. Chaos will tell you, give me, as in yourself, love, not self-love. You need love from any other source, not from the source, not from the self. Why? Because that's your greatest strength. That's your superpower. You're pulling that off magnificent. That's the pride of your life, that you can generate love in quantities that most beings can't. Okay, I clapped you. When Pluto is doing this, that means your greatest power is the tap is turned off. You're in crisis. Why? You must feed on love. If all your principles goes against this, sorry, chaos won't care. Survive the way you can. Do you understand, within my example, the severity of this energy? Our excuses right now won't matter. Love, where are we starved from love? That's what hurts us the most. That is what's going to overflow at this full moon. And this, what full moon? Sorry, this autumn and winter, going into next year, of course. And then the nodes change into Pisces, North Node in Pisces. Having understood where you are starved, go and feed yourself, figure it out. But all of us, and no one is exception, is starved from love somewhere. And where that is, that's where chaos is omnipresent and it's not going to go anywhere. Like, let me give you an example. You are in a romantic relationship. Love is given to you big time. You're swimming in it. You're prosperous. There might be something in your soul that does not care and is not compatible. It cannot be fed by romantic love. So the romantic love present in your life will do nothing in that situation. Is it professional lack of love? Does something in your being demand aggressively professional recognition? If that's the case, your husband, wife, even if they, I don't know, become Apollo or the embodiment of romance, the divine being of romance themselves, will not be able to help you whatsoever. The only way they can help you is identify the problem. Sweetie, we are going to build you a quick career right now for you to feel what it feels like to be a good professional. that can be a month. And chaos, after it drinks, it will turn you happy. But identify what lacks love. Or you can be, I don't want to say this example this way because maybe someone will get offended. You can be the top one and most loved professional in any domain in the world, and you get so much love that you're even sharing it, and you may be the unhappiest soul on the planet because that kind of love is not what one part of your being seeks. That's not food for it. You know what I mean? You need to give yourself the food that you eat. That's your natural diet. And for us to discover what our natural diet is, the tower, the painful truth, everything must be swept into chaos for us to admit our own truths. What feeds us really? Which love do we lack in our lives? What type of love? Brotherly, sisterly love, romantic love, sexual love, parental love, spiritual love. For some people, and you are going to say that this cannot be, but it is real. What makes them unhappy? They have everything in life because the dharma and all of, and they worked to make it harm. They seek the love of spirit. And many times the love of spirit is found through incomprehensible pain. Because don't ask me why, because that will lead to something which I'll speak about. For just accept it that sometimes this is the key to the transcendent type of love where you want to feel the love of the creator, but in a unbridged way. Many times, read any philosophy and any source of ancient wisdom. Sometimes it's great pain. So you can imagine someone who was blessed and elevated in life in such a way where pain is not supposed to be in any way, shape, and form part of their life story and their experience, and not must that frequency is not part of their journeys. Well, that person may feel very incomplete at that time because they will lack the closeness of the spirit. The solution to that, I'm not going to say the solution to that, but there is a very quick and easy solution, but it will only work like a charm and make you really be healed when you identify what's wrong, what you're seeking, like boyfriend, girlfriend, success, serenity, peace, Buddhism, whatever, helping the disadvantaged, anything you do, and you do it good, does not fill the void because you seek an intimate connection with spirit, that which needs a no bridge, a one-on-one. So, yes, when you identify that that's the case, you go to a certain ceremony or get help to reach a certain state. And that's when you can feel, if you wish, all the pain of the world, and it's real, and you don't have to actually suffer through anything. But that state of feeling the pain of the world, you will understand that it's the pain of the creator, and there it is, what you seek all your life. But I'm just telling you, one can have everything they want in life and still be brought down big time by these big energies. Why? Because what hurts us The core of all, the big picture is all that love is not there or not sufficient or not the kind of love that we need. So now let's move on with the energies. Mars is one of the first energies that we look at because it squares. T squares Sun and Moon. Mars squaring the Moon is also relevant because it squares Chiron, the wound, very much there. Mars in Cancer, this is shared, collective, borders, nationality. You get what I mean. The past, how we belong together, family, family karma playing out big time, huge time, in any way, shape, and form. Even if those of us who don't have a family, memories and old patterns coming back from other people. And you think XYZ, well, they're dead. And my neighbor took the place. My, I don't know, my profession, my dentist, my XY, whatever role took the place, and the energy still comes, the feeling still comes back. It doesn't matter. It comes back. So the wound is triggered. Sun in Cancer squaring Moon in Sun. Mars in Cancer squaring Sun in Libra. Diplomacy. Confrontational. It does. Confrontation needs to be there. And Mars in Cancer can be very toxic. Mars in Cancer can dish out gestures, reactions, anything that is an action that is so very, very, very painful, right? And now the cardinal grand cross, Pluto, the higher octave of Mars. Mars and Pluto are not yet deadly locked in a tight opposition, but the opposition is there. Whenever Pluto opposes any planet, it takes away its intensity and its power. It makes it weak. It makes it weak in the sense that imagine if you're drained of life because you worked all day and haven't eaten. You just collapse, right? That's how the planet feels like. But sadly, Mars is also debilitated in Cancer. So this Mars is cornered. This Mars is where the crab's shell is being broken into. This crab is desperate. So, and this crab is the ruler of the full moon. Mutual receptivity, as they call it in astrology. Mars rules Aries, Moon rules Cancer. They're in each other's signs, each other's houses. There's two major ways that the mutual receptivity can play out. Either they wreck each other's houses, they become wild beasts. The moon, water, toxicity, dirt, filth, excrement. The moon, I'm so sorry, but let's be playful. Peas in Aries's home. Aries, to react to this, burns. Burns the moon's precious paintings or memorabilia. You know what I mean? But the other expression is when both Moon and Mars know that it's trouble, so they just try to contain themselves in each other's house because they know it's trouble. So this can be actually the saving grace. Chiron, right? The sextile with the square with Chiron. Awareness, big time, big awareness can change the picture. This is where instead of spitting poison, I spit one poison as a warning, and then everyone shuts up and the silence is there, but diffuses the situation. And also, Mars, as I said, opposing Pluto, that means that chances are, how should I explain this? It's not gonna be a deluge of love that makes everything be okay. Why do I say that? Well, that can be the highest expression of Mars in Cancer. The care, I love, I want to be there, I want to make it work, I'm not going to abandon you. However, that may do nothing practically. So that being there is wonderful. However, Pluto, when it's a moment of there's no going back, there, like in the Bible, when I do believe she had to walk out from the burning cities, and the angel told her, whatever you do not look back. If you look back, it's not good. She looked back, turned to salt. What does turning to salt mean? All the water immediately abandons you, it evaporates. So don't look back. But look forward. It's okay, look forward, because that is what the power of love, that is what it can do. Go forward. It is perfect to go forward. It cannot do anything for the past, but to go forward, that's why it's there, the power of love. The Cancerian love, okay, this love of the family or support of someone or your own nurture, your own willingness to move on. That's enough, but only one direction. The other direction, it's powerless. It's zero. It does not do anything. However, there will be a moment under the upcoming Mars retrograde that starts in some 9th of some in December. That's the moment to take care of the things that we cannot take care of right now, the things that we are powerless at. But the now is not about the past, it's about the future. That's where the love is power lies. That's where we can do things, not more anymore in the past. So only in the context of the past does Pluto disempower Mars totally. So we understand this. We also understand that Neptune and Uranus point a yod at the sun in Libra. Well, it doesn't matter. You know, Uranus and Neptune here are almost like two opposing forces. Uranus, the big reality of the situation. Neptune, hope, faith, and love, and all that. But it can very well be doom and gloom. The opposite, because Pisces, it is what you make of it. Pointing to the sun. It's easy in theory, but now you have to make it work. And like it or not, when this is the situation, even fate has to help you. When there is no choice, trust me, fate helps you. It moves, it does things. But the problem is how. Don't, don't, how should I don't even know how to word this. How it doesn't matter. Accept it as the way it comes. When there are times when we can't quality control, this is how it comes is how it comes. You must trust it and there is no other choice. As simple as this at the end of the day. But this is where we tap into the good parts of a cardinal grand cross. Because the intensity, you got me. I don't need to say it can be scary. The good part, getting there, the breakthrough, there is no choice but. As it comes, I'm going to work with it. I don't care anymore. Enough is enough. I'm doing it. I'm getting there. This is where passivity is not gonna be there unless there's that situation in life where not doing something is the outside of the norm. Addiction, right? I'm actually not going to do. I'm actually breaking the habit. I'm actually breaking the cycle. Toxic love relationship. I'm actually saying no to you. Toxic sensual relationship. Um the orgasm does nothing. It's good, okay, I'm feeling it, but I for my soul it doesn't work anymore. So nah, or anything, any toxic relationship, any power dynamic that is not nice, not okay, not tolerable, not real, a lie, a total lie. Anything like that is gonna be triggered big time. Yod. But speaking about quincunxes, well, Mercury quincunxes the North Node in Aries. This is important because Mars is ruler of both Aries and Scorpio, where Mercury and the North Node are. So Mercury and Scorpio, North Node in Aries. This again puts the responsibility to Mars. Mars has the hardest job ever. Not only is it aggressed by Pluto, it's debilitated. The Sun also, in a way, demands solutions from Mars because it's the opposite sign of its home, the neighbor, so to speak. North Node demands solutions from Mars. Moon, Chiron, Aries demands solutions for Mars. For Mars. But you can easily see why a passive Mars finally will move, get off its butt and make the step to say no or to say yes or whatever that means, whatever means breaking the habit. If this wasn't enough, Venus is at an degree of Scorpio. So from what does this tell us? It's gonna hit money. Money values love, sensuality, sex, and in certain cases, health, but very much hormonally or organs that are governed by hormones related or stress related. But what do I mean stress related? You lived 20 years in stress, now you're getting it. So this Venus is very shadowy. However, it's joined by Neptune. Release. Big release. So I would imagine that if it's a loss, material loss, I know it's hard to say. I know but be grateful. Because in a few years, you're going to be so grateful. Whatever elimination, because that erratic degree, loss, ending, you putting a tap on it, you saying end, or I'm in control now. Be grateful for that. So, and Venus opposes Uranus, her own sign of Taurus. Okay, the opposition is not already bye-bye by now. However, days before this full moon, it was active to the degree. So, surprise, surprise, what happens in the financial world? What suddenly shifts value? When this energy is not all that very new, this happens every year. And the tendency was, as it kept happening, for example, big brands, big value, expensive as or the sophisticated drop in value, they become trash overnight. Because Uranus in Taurus aims for simplicity, Venus in Scorpio. Now I see why I shouldn't value the expensive big brand, big things. The expensive loses value and the simple gains value. So this might, and you can imagine Pluto anoretic, Venus anoretic, Neptune slightly anoretic, okay? Oil, fuel, that is which is in the earth and is fuel, coal, even anything that is even energy. Pluto, well, Pluto is closely related to plutonium in a realist sense. Pluto was integrated into astrology as plutonium was created, the first artificial radioactive element which nature does not want to ever produce. So what is the expression of plutonium? It is the spirit that shouldn't exist, should not ever be embodied in earth, being embodied, as simple as that. Okay. But what did plutonium do? Today it does a lot of good, right? X-ray, not X-ray, but MRI and CT and energy and this and that. But when it was discovered, it did something very ugly. But it did it for us not to do it right now. But that doesn't mean it will not keep us keep reminding us of that moment. Don't do it, don't do it, remember what happened. Remember how ugly it is. Choose differently. So this is going to be part of that moment, Pluto. It's very much there to make the truth be as uncomfortable as it can possibly be. So it demands simplicity, getting out of complex and going back to simple. So that means even non-fossil fuel is targeted by this energy. Even nuclear fuel, plutonium, right? Even that is part of this energy, where I'm not speaking about some kind of catastrophe. However, Aries, right? Aries, cardinal grand cross. But I'm rather speaking about a crisis in the industry. You know what I mean? There is not enough something that changes ultimately Venus values. Another energy is that this Venus sextiles Pluto, but I kind of explained that already, right? Fuel and value and the plutonium. The other energy is that there is a quincunx between, or let me just look at this because I am not 100% sure. Yes, a quincunx between the moon, so the full moon, and Vesta in Virgo, the sacred flame. And I find this very, very important because this means the how is sorry, I'm having a mental breakdown moment here. The the goal justifies the means. That energy or that philosophy, but in a way where it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. So that cannot be used sometimes. It is not that type of compromise. This is where we need to really, really, how should I say, cling on aggressively to our core value that is within our hearts of hearts. Last but not least, the Sabian symbol, a double promise. I find this very suggestive. Double promise. That means the power of agreement. Very much Libra oriented, right? but also the consequences. A promise, in order to be real, needs both sides, and this is where it's a big deal to be on the same page philosophically, in faith, simple in faith. A promise is when both sides live in the same faith. A full moon. And I'm not going to interpret it further. What does this mean collectively? What does this mean for us personally? Is that double promise? Where is it that we need to step up with our faith in an Aries way? You know what I mean? Where everything in life is about embodying our faith, and that's the breakthrough. That is the saving grace. That is the leap of faith. So perhaps that is right now the mystery of our lives, to figure that out and to give that, exactly that, a meaning. Where is our deepest, strongest, perhaps even most passionate faith taking us? Because what it is taking us away from, that I can tell you now, and that's not a that is the only known thing. Lack of love, lack of Mars in Cancer, food, but don't understand it in a physical way. Let's just check something together. Ceres has opposed Mars before it got to this full moon, so what I say stands. Where is it that we are starving in life? Unfortunately, and shame on all of us, shame on our species, you know what I mean? That this is playing out literally somewhere, some parts in the world, shame on us. But this is also playing out non-physically in everyone's life. But where? In which where is it? What part of us is starving? And let's give it finally food. But the food it can eat. And how do we know what it eats? Being honest with the self. If the hunger did not go away no matter what you did, astrologer, doctor, shrink, Buddhist, ayahuasca, whatever you tried, the hunger did not go away. Well, sweetie, your being is screaming at you to accept something rudimentary true about you, a part of you that is meant to be in this lifetime, or maybe it's a soul core part of you that's not going to go anywhere, but that doesn't need to hinder you. But accept it, give it a bit of food. What is that? I can't use my own personal example, but I don't know. Whatever hurts the most right now means you're sitting on something and not acknowledging it. You know what I mean? What are we sitting on? A pain, a hurt, a truth, a reality, something authentic, a part where our being is starving. Why? Because only one smart but vital component. For some people, maybe their ego is starving. And you might say, well, no. Let me explain. A spiritual lifestyle is for a person who is not meant to immerse into that. Well, it is a prison, a delusion, a windmill, not to have faith and be connected that does not need spirituality whatsoever. Does your dog read this sacred text, pray, and no. Your dog meditates, naturally incorporated into his being, into his genes, the way he figured it out and is natural to him. And the rest is within him. It's in him. He lives it in him, in himself. He don't need anything. So if your dog can do it, you can do it too. For some people, that is not satisfactory. So of course, they need the lifestyle to feed their spirit. Other people need to go on life adventure, and the spirit is within them, and that's okay. Everyone needs to be real and authentic to them. You know what? I know what I'm gonna say now is a bit controversial, and I shouldn't really say it, but some beings are genuinely made for chaos. Others are genuinely made for parasitism. None of this has to be evil. So someone being it's himself truthfully is not evil. Evil is evil. You know what I mean? Evil is evil. Evil must be chosen. Being who you are does not mean evil. Only choosing evil through the lens of your being is evil. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, no. Someone who feels a genuine connection to Baal, let's say, well, that person, for one reason or another, is an embodiment of the spirit of competition. And let me give you where it's totally non-evil and something truly beautiful comes out of it. And do not get into conspiracy. Don't misinterpret my words. Football, soccer, spirit of competition governed by the spirit of competition, right? And it does something harmonious. In theory, the fact that it's corrupted nowadays and stuff like that, it's not its spirit corrupting it, not the spirit of competition. The anti of the spirit is corrupting it. Because the spirit of competition in itself, it's it wants to play by the rules. The defeated and the winner, loser, predator, prey, who genuinely cannot be a good team, of course they're kicked out very quickly. And the two best teams have to fight with fang and claw, even in spirit, because the training and the hours with the coach, that's a spiritual part of competition. So, you know what I mean? The spirit of it wants the competition. The anti of any spirit, that's what wants the corruption and to disrupt everything. So let us be clear that being who one is does not mean evil or anything that is in spirit can be embodied in a non-destructive, transgressial way. This is what I want to say. Anything. And you might think of the most dark and twisted things you can find in spirit, like the abyssal and stuff like that, but it can be embodied in a really harmonious way. Let me give you an example. Pluto. There are certain examples of Pluto which take place in a social, economical, and moral way, which is nothing all that much, practical. Like in any society, there are going to be individuals who live off the dumpster, right? The spirit of scavenging, right? That is in Pluto's domain. But how should I say? They are not really directly hurting anyone, rather the opposite. They accepted to play this role, which is natural part of nature, necessary, the scavenger. Without them, the cycle cannot move normally. So you see, those people have a massive gift, because we might say, how did she end up there? How? They were honest with themselves. They identified the Pluto and gave their life to it. But in that choice, they got pain, maybe, and disadvantage, and the dirt, the filth, always the underdog. But within that, they got freedom, they got authenticity, they got truth, they got courage, they got adventure, and they don't live in our dimension. They don't share the pain of the world. They share the insanity of the world. But that's a high, that's a permanent high. Okay, we cannot generalize this because there are souls for whom this is infinitely tragic. I'm not speaking about those. I'm speaking about those who choose it and it's natural for them and it gives them happiness. In my city, a certain ethnic group who lives off the dumpster, they thrive. When I look in their eyes, and they are picking PET bottles and stuff like that out of the dumpster, they smile, whistle, sing, play. They're happy, genuinely happy. When I go to the shop and I see the worker there, misery. Well, you know what I mean. Well, choosing Pluto, sometimes choosing the abyss, the bottom, if nature gave you everything to survive and thrive at the bottom, well, then you're a bottom feeder. Are supposed to be there. And someone who recognizes this from birth, well, you have to give them a medal. Every element will bow to that soul and not to the doctor, professor, academic, not to me, not to you, but to the dumpster person. The elements, nature will conspire in their favor. But of course, they're also easy prey for this, that, and that. But that's part of the adventure of life, right? So I'm so sorry for this very long philosophy and sharing my channelings, but we need to understand that only truth sets us free. And very many times, our deepest truth does not go against nature, rather the opposite. It is highly embracive of nature and everything in her. So, this is no one really wishes their own demise, and no one really wishes to live without love. And the first step for this is to recognize where it is that we need the food of love to get on the at least on the floating level, because it is where we are starved that we need the food of love, because with the food of the love, but the type of love that actually nurtures us, that will immediately reverse the picture. We will want to live very, very much and intensely and truthfully and authentically when that part of our being gets the food it needs and can give us the muscle strength to make us complete. So thank you, everyone. And again, sorry for this mashup. And until next time, bye for now.